Okay, thank you. Welcome, everyone. Sorry for the delay, or I don't know if you want to call it a delay or change in schedule or whatever. We've had to do this a couple of times with this bill, but anyway, welcome. And we got a little reprieve from the Senate for just a brief moment. So this committee meeting will give us a little, yeah, a new life. So welcome, introduce yourselves, and we'll get started. House Bill 200.
Morning, Madam Chairwoman, members of the committee. I'm Greg Phipps. I'm the Fiscal Division Chief for the Wyoming Game and Fish Department. And with me today is Jennifer Doring, our licensing manager for the department. And you've seen this bill before. It originally came up as a Senate file. And now here it is as House Bill 0200. So this bill amends Wyoming statute and raises the fees for non-residents for special elk, deer, and antelope licenses. And it also amends the appropriate statutes to increase the fee for non-resident bighorn sheep, mountain goat, moose, grizzly bear, and wild bison licenses. As far as the fiscal impact to the department, our first year, we're anticipating to be fiscal year 2024. We're looking at a $1.8 million revenue increase. And in year 2 and forward, so from 2025 on, we're looking at about a $5.7 million a year increase. The difference between those years is that the non-resident special deer and antelope revenue increases will not be recognized in year 1 due to the timing of the draw in June. Estimates based on the number of non-resident special hunting licenses issued for elk, deer, and antelope, as well as non-resident hunting licenses issued for bighorn sheep, mountain goat, moose, and wild bison, are consistent with the 2020 to 2022 three-year averages. And I have those numbers if you want those. So we just kept it consistent with what we had there. Increased or impacts to game and fish programs, the increased fees for non-resident for those species that we had previously talked, and the fee increases will require significant communication and updates for all of our applicants, our non-resident applicants. Fees collected per Wyoming Statute 23-2-101F are in addition to the regular license fees in Wyoming Statute 23-2-101J, and are required to obtain a non-resident special elk, deer, and antelope licenses. So this is just raising the non-resident fees on those special licenses and keeping the regular draw piece, the price the same. 40% of the available non-resident elk, deer, and antelope licenses are offered to non-resident applicants upon receipt of the fees. These are known as non-resident special elk, deer, and antelope licenses. So the change in fees for non-resident elk is currently $576. And it'll be increased to $1,258. Deer is $288. It'll be increased to $826. Non-resident antelope is currently $288. It'll be increased to $874. The total cost for the non-resident special elk, deer, and antelope licenses, currently for these special licenses, it is $1,268. And this fee increases it to $1,950. Special deer, $662 to $1,200. Non-resident special antelope, $614 to $1,200. And some people wonder why. Well, where's the $2? Why is it $2 different from the statute? And well, there's another statute in 23-1-701 B that has a license agent fee for our licensed selling agents. And then changes in the non-resident bighorn sheep licenses. Currently, it's $2,318. This will raise it to $3,000. Non-resident mountain goat is currently $2,160. This raises it to $2,750. Non-resident moose is currently $1,980, and this raises it to $2,750. And non-resident grizzly bear is currently set at $6,000, and this raises it to $7,500. And for wild bison, currently it's $4,400, and it raises it to $6,000. Of note is the increase in fees will likely result in the increased revenue to the department. However, some applicants may choose to no longer apply as it could be cost prohibitive, from their perspective, and they could discontinue applying. But our demand is always really, really high. We've seen that on testimony from other bills. Drawing odds for non-resident regular and special elk, deer and antelope licenses could change. We could see a shift of applicants from the special draw to the special applicants to the regular applicants. We just don't know. And the same goes for the bighorn sheep and mountain goat and moose and wild bison. And lastly, of note, this was a recommendation brought up from the Wyoming Wildlife Task Force.
Questions for Mr. Phipps? Senator Baldwin?
Yeah, just real quick, just for my pea brain today. What was the need for this? I guess, what was the explanation from the task force? What was the need for this increase? Is it a revenue? We just want to increase the revenue, make you more dependent, or what exactly was the reasoning?
Mr. Phipps?
Madam Chairwoman, Senator Baldwin, the need from attending the task force meetings as an observer and from the recommendation letter was really that they saw an opportunity to get on par with their product sales to be commensurate with prices of surrounding states. And we offer the special license fees, and there hasn't been a fee increase there, and wanting to get our product on par economically with other states.
Other questions for Mr. Phipps? I just had one. I wondered, and I'm sure the Wildlife Task Force probably took a look at this, but, I noticed that the elk and deer and antelope, the increases weren't quite as large. And I wondered if, I'm sure they took this into account, but did they take a look at the numbers of, like, for instance, mule deer, how many of them survived this year versus last year before they decided that? Or did those fee increases have anything to do with the numbers of the wildlife in different areas?
Madam Chairwoman, I don't think that that had anything to do with the fee increases or the theory behind it. But as far as population estimates go, I know our wildlife division is watching that very closely right now and trying to get their counts so that they can be prepared to set seasons come spring.
Other questions for Mr. Phipps? Welcome, Director. Sorry about all the changes and challenges.
It's okay.
Blame it on the majority
got
floor
here.
leader, not us, okay?
I know.
You're welcome. We'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, so Madam Chair, I'm sorry I missed the first part of this. I don't want to repeat anything that's already been said, but I think the important points that come to mind for me is certainly this was something that was studied by the task force. It's something that was well supported by all the members. I don't remember the vote. It was either unanimous or nearly unanimous. And there was quite a bit of work actually that went into studying other states and looking at marketability. And that was, Senator Hicks was the one who did a lot of the research on this and who felt pretty strongly about making Wyoming closer to what the market is in other states. Another key point with this bill is that, one of the arguments that we've heard from some folks that are opposed to the idea are that, it prices the common person out of being able to purchase non-resident licenses. And this is complex, so it's probably hard for folks to dice through the bill and figure this out. But really, it doesn't do that. It only takes 40% of the licenses and they're already higher priced. And it just increases that amount for that 40%. There's still the other 60%, the majority of of licenses remain at the same price under the proposed, under this proposed bill. So with that, those are the high points. It's fairly, the way that this special license draw works is a little bit complicated, but the bill itself and what it's trying to do is really just make an adjustment to those higher end fees. I'd stand for any questions.
Senator Baldwin?
Thank you, Director, and thank you, Madam Chairman. I think I probably asked these questions last time, but I'm old and I can't remember. With the 40%, and you may have, she may answer this better, but the question is what's their increase in odds of drawing? Let's just use antelope, or let's use elk, a special area elk. What are the odds increase if I go into that 40% pool versus a 60% pool? What's the increase in odds, or what has it been historically?
Director?
Madam Chair, Senator Baldwin, first of all, you were correct almost always. She answers questions better than I. But this one, I think I can answer. We have talked this one before. And really, for the most part, it's probably going to mean, and this is, I have to use averages here, it's probably going to mean about 2 less points, maybe 3 less points, preference points required to draw. But it varies too. And there's actually some kind of anomalies where you could actually have a better chance of drawing in the regular draw than you would in the special, but it's designed to not be that way. And so for the most part, Jennifer, if you've got an example, I think general is the best example. And general special requires how many points? Special general 3 would give a person 45.5%. And in the regular draw, it's over 4 points. So it's one, for a general elk license, it's a little over 1 point of advantage.
Questions? Yeah, go ahead, Senator Ellis.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thanks for being with us. I just want to remember, I don't have a great memory either. We looked at this bill earlier. I'm wondering if there were any amendments that we adopted that didn't advance, and then this bill was introduced separate of that. I just want to make sure we're not missing an amendment that we caught earlier that maybe we didn't get captured in this bill, and maybe we've already covered everything. We've just looked at a lot of these bills, and I can't remember the details.
Go ahead, Director.
Yeah, Madam Chair, Senator Ellis, I don't believe we've missed any amendments. We're certainly not tracking anything that we've missed there.
Other questions? Senator Jones?
Madam Chair, I just had a question. Do you expect to have more applicants than what you can fill for either the 40% and the 60% total? Has it been that way always, and you consider it to keep going on?
Director?
Yeah, Madam Chair, so the demand for non-resident licenses has just continued to increase year after year. This year, we had it almost flattened out a little bit for non-resident elk licenses. There was just a very slight increase in the applications that we received, but that's the first time it's flattened in many, many years. It's continued to go up. We've had about, just as with elk as an example, we have about 30,000 applications for about 7,200 licenses. And I do not expect that the demand will change. There's a lot of folks out there that want to come hunt in Wyoming.
Other questions for the Director? I had just one, and it was, again, Director, you weren't here yet, but I did ask about the numbers. I'm fairly certain they're predicated, basically, the licenses on the winners, how well the animals do. Is that correct?
Yeah, Madam Chair, this would have no, this kind of policy has nothing, or this license allocation policy here does not have any impact on the biology and the science of setting seasons and determining what the quotas are. So in other words, if the quotas this year are 100 and next year they're 200, this is based on a proportion of licenses. So there's never a time when we issue more licenses based on the special or the regular draw. That's the first step, is to make that determination, and then everything else happens after that.
Okay. And just the last question I had is, you mentioned, or I think Mr. Phipps mentioned, about the fact that we, or the Wildlife Task Force, looked at other states. Are these fees going to keep us pretty much in the middle? Where would we fit in terms of other states, east, west, or south of us?
Yeah, Madam Chair, excellent question. And again, Senator Hicks did some excellent research here. This puts Wyoming closer to the top portion of the tier for the surrounding states. I don't think it did you have that, Jennifer, or is it in our LAS?
It's not in the.
Okay. It's because Senator Hicks has this memorized. But it does put us towards the top with our neighboring states. But I think that, what the task force contemplated was the fact that the demand in Wyoming would suggest that we should be at the top of the market because more people want to come here.
Okay, thank you. Other questions, the director or the other folks from Game and Fish? No? Okay, thank you so much. Appreciate you being here and your testimony, and I know it was, we blame everything on the majority floor leader. He's not here, so to defend himself.
I was
but-
diligently watching you online and you went and took a 10-minute break and the next thing I know, you're meeting. So I apologize for not being.
No, I honestly, I think he, sort of forgot that we were going to do the Senate confirmations after, the session got over. So we didn't want this to start at 7 o'clock tonight and keep you all here late. So who knows how long those will go. So anyway, appreciate your being flexible. Others in the room that would like to testify today, please come forward. Please introduce yourself.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the committee. My name is Bill Novotny, here on behalf of the Wyoming Outfitters and Guides Association. We are the trade association for hunting and fishing guides in the state. We participated in the task force process. We stand in strong support of this bill. We worked very hard to bring it back. Going to Senator Ellis's question, basically what we did is we took the bill that was defeated and just reintroduced it. We had hoped to actually bring you the bill through the House TRW chair, but that was at the same time that she had broken her leg. She wasn't in the building, and so we were looking for a sponsor, and so that's why the bill has advanced as it is. We really feel that as an industry, as we are providing these experiences, because we don't guarantee a product, we guarantee an experience in Wyoming, that this is going to allow us to have a product and a price that's on par with other states. We don't think it's going to be anyway adversarial to our industry or impact the number of clients that we can bring to the state of Wyoming to enjoy a hunting experience and also contribute greatly to our travel and tourism economy here. So we would ask you please to pass this out today favorably and then move it on to the governor and get this enacted and hopefully raise some good revenue for the Game and Fish. And happy to answer any questions that you may have.
I think Senator Baldwin has a question for you.
A question I probably asked before, but I'll ask again. And that is on the task, how many people are on the task force? That's number one. And of the people on the task force, and I realize that some had a dual person, some were sportsmen / outfitters, but I'm really curious, of all the people who are on that committee, of the total number, how many were associated with the outfitting business and how many were outfitters? And I ask that question because I'm getting a lot of input on this bill in the last 2 or 3 days. And the majority that I'm hearing for it is from the outfitters. And so that's why I'm curious. Go ahead.
Mr.
Madam
Novotny?
Chair, and I'm, Game and Fish will correct me, but I believe we had 16 members on the task force. 18, I'm sorry, and 3 of them were either a direct representative of the outfitting industry or had a outfitting hat in some way. So we did have roughly 3 members of that 18-member task force.
Other questions? I just had one. Do you think there's a downside for those folks, like the outfitters, for instance, of raising the fees? Or do you think that they'll have enough folks coming in from out of state that will take advantage of these 40% draws to make it worth their while, I guess, is what I'm trying to ask.
Chairwoman Schuler, our belief really is that there are more than enough clients who want to come to Wyoming and have the experience that we don't think it's going to have an adverse impact on our ability to fill our camps and make sure that our small businesses are able to operate. So we don't believe so, and that's why we're here in support of it today.
Okay. Other questions? Guess not. Okay, thank
Thank
you
you.
so much. Appreciate it. Welcome. Introduce yourself.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. My name is Josh Applegate. I'm here on behalf of myself. I'm a Wyoming resident, but I do have a little bit of insight into this. My job, after living in Wyoming for 30-some years, required me to move to Denver. So I had to apply for non-resident tags. The price increases are astronomical. I'll be honest, to me, I have moved back to Wyoming, and one of the nice parts about that is I got to enjoy a lot cheaper elk tag. But it's just, to me, hunting and enjoying the outdoors is something you do with your family. It's time to spend with your family and to provide for my family. And I'll be honest, as a non-resident, it made me pick and choose between my kids and myself being able to do that and myself. I make a pretty good income. And it priced me out of the market. I mean, I was literally priced out of the market. There was some things that they kept raising the prices on that I said, I'm out. I'm not doing this anymore. It's just, it came down to feeding my family and doing that. And to the subject of where are we at price-wise, I did just a quick research, and I picked the highest numbers from each state. This would put Wyoming higher in every single category in elk, antelope, deer, sheep, moose, and mountain goat than Colorado, Montana, and Utah. I mean, and not even close in some of them, deer and elk, call it 826, elk or deer and antelope, 826, 874. Colorado, 456. I mean, that's a pretty substantial increase. So, and we also have some friends that put in out of state, and one of them recently just said, I'm going to pay the high price right now because I'm done. I'm not putting in for Wyoming. Your guys' licenses are getting out of control. He actually goes to New Mexico and hunts. So yes, I understand there's the markets there, but to me, we're literally catering to a rich man's sport. Contrary to what they're saying, it is making it a rich man's game. And it's taking away the family element of being able to do it. Like I said, again, I had to pick and choose between my kids being able to do that and myself. And it came down to me because I could take a lot more time off than getting my kids out of school and such. So for that, I do encourage you to actually decline that, because this is also, again, it is a bill that was already failed once. So we're going to take up people's time again to bring up the exact same bill. Thank you.
Questions for Mr. Applegate? Guess not. Thank you so much for your testimony. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Others that would like to testify? Anybody else in the room? Okay, I guess we have someone online. So would you bring him in? Okay.
Madam Chair, Lee Livingston, are you welcoming me in? It was a hit. Okay. Thank you, Madam Chair, Lee Livingston. I'm a outfitter up here in the northern part of the state, and also was a member of the task force. I do want to apologize. As you know, I had every intention of being there in person, but Mother Nature, as she does many times in Wyoming, had different plans. So I'm stuck up here, and looks like you guys are getting hammered down there. A couple of things I wanted to touch on with the bill. Director Nesvik, I was wondering where we were, and he was on the task force too, and I just had to look this up. But this bill did pass out of the task force with a recommendation 16-1-1. So it did receive strong support in the task force. It had a lot of discussion, and it was one of 17 recommendations that came out of the task force. To the previous folks' testimony, we're doing something a little bit different in Wyoming than other states. Granted, some of these prices might be towards the top or higher than some other states, but we hold 60% of our licenses down at the lower price. The lower price for elk was $692. Antelope is $326, and mule deer or deer is $374. So we have a bunch of our licenses that stay at a different price point than other states do. And I believe we might be the only state that does that. Again, this bill is accepted and encouraged and supported by the industry. And if you guys have any questions, I'll be glad to try and answer them.
Questions for Mr. Livingston? I don't see any. And I think all of my questions have been answered. So I appreciate, though, knowing the bill in terms of how much support it had with the Wildlife Task Force. I appreciate that, because I was also wondering the same thing, how many folks on the task force were in favor of it. So, okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Nobody else, I guess, online? Okay, good. Well, let's go ahead then and close public testimony. It's your pleasure on the bill. Move the bill? Okay. Second, okay, it's been moved by Senator Garou, seconded by Senator Jones. Discussion on the bill. Senator Baldwin.
You knew I was going to say something.
Of course.
And I think I was a yes on this bill previously when we had it. And I've done a lot of research the last couple of days, and simply because talking with all my not all my constituents, that would take too long. But with a number of my constituents, by far, the input I've received from the constituents that aren't outfitters has been against the bill. From the outfitters, all except for one case have been for the bill. So that being my constituents, while I may support the bill, I'm going to have to vote against it because almost all my constituents that are sportsmen have asked me to vote against this. So for that reason.
Other discussion? Committee? Senator Ellis?
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is something that is not new. I've seen this bill in this language and these numbers. This is my third or fourth time looking at it, I think. I think it's important for us to remain competitive with our neighboring states. I think some of the jumps, though, were a little stark and steep for me, so I do have some concerns about that. I'm comfortable voting with it to take it to the floor and vote for it in committee today, but we'll see how the discussion goes once it hits the full Senate.
Any other, Senator Guru?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just quickly, I too, want to vote this out to get it to the floor. The reason why it didn't make it on the floor was because of a technicality that I don't even know was true or not, but we erred on the side of caution and moved it. And I hope that we'll get a chance to ferret out this talk about the 40% versus the 60% to address the concerns that we've heard here about, because I too am concerned about, I don't want to price anyone out of the market. On the same token, we know that we have a superior product. And when you have a superior product, you need to, we need to charge accordingly. This is a superior experience that we're offering in this state, and we know it. So while I want to hear more, and I want to hear the floor debate on this, I'm going to be voting yes today. Thank you.
Senator Jones, any comments?
Madam Chair, I just want to say that I appreciate the task force and all the hard work that they've done, and also to Game and Fish. So I am going to be a yes on this because we have to appreciate that they're volunteers and they know way more about it than what I do.
Thank you. When I first heard the bill in the Senate side, and even on the task force, because I followed you guys throughout the interim, I kind of had the eye roll thing, like, wow, these are pretty pricey. But then when you compare it, and I did do some comparisons myself to a couple of states that are near us, and we were quite low. I'm glad that we have 60% though that are still at our low rate for those non-residents that still want to come and don't want to spend enough for a car payment to be here. So I'm okay with where we are on this bill, and I would vote yes also. So with that, I guess we'll take a roll call vote.
Thank you, Madam Chair. House Bill 4, non-resident hunting licenses, application fees. Senator Baldwin.
No.
Senator Ellis.
Aye.
Senator Guru.
Aye.
Senator Jones. Chairman Schuler.
Aye.
Ma'am, we have 4 ayes and 1 no.
Okay. House Bill 200 has passed, and we will take it up to the floor. And anybody interested in bringing it?
Senator Hicks.
Senator Hicks. I agree. He's not here, and I think he's the
Very
guy we
good.
want. So,
Thank you.
all right.
Thank you.
Appreciate everybody coming. And again, sorry about all the miscommunication, but we appreciate that you made time to get here, and we appreciate all your testimony. Yeah, that's it. So thank you, everyone. This meeting's adjourned.